So what the heck is the difference between equine-assisted therapy and equine-assisted learning? This is one of those questions that gets asked all the time. And there is a significant difference. Yes. So it's going to be a really great chat we can have today. You guys can ask lots and lots of questions as well, so we can guide you through really what is the major difference between the two.
Exactly. I was so excited, and welcome to this exciting day of, again, gaining knowledge in a certification that's going to work for you. Because, you know, this is the one thing we do always say is you got to do the research to see what fits for you, what makes sense for you, and how's that going to work in your life. And do I need more credentials? Do I need not so much credentials? Yeah. So it's really important that you do the research, but we can definitely answer all of those amazing questions that you probably have, because people always refer to even ours as therapy.
And it doesn't matter how many times we say it otherwise. It always comes. Oh,
I know.
The girls from equine therapy.
Yeah.
Okay.
13 years later, I don't even tell my county anymore, because they just say, oh yeah, you're equine therapy. And I say, yes. Yeah. Because sometimes it's just not important for those clients because they're not our clients. So we just say whatever, because they're not understanding what equine-assisted learning is all about.
It just doesn't seem to go through.
No, it really doesn't.
So I guess we should introduce ourselves, probably first and foremost here, to let you know who we are and why we're talking about such topics.
And do we have credentials for it?
And do we have these things? Do we? So my name is Carolyn Charles. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing, as well as an instructor and a facilitator for the Equine Connection, the Academy of Equine-Assisted Learning.
Long name.
Yeah.
I'm Kari Fulmek, the founder and master instructor of Equine Connection, the Academy of Equine-Assisted Learning. And you know, we travel around the globe. We have business in Sydney. We have the business here in Canada. And then, of course, we are traveling through North America all the time, helping people just like you to do what we do. And what we do is actually help human beings to be able to move forward, build super strong skills through the power of the horse being the teacher. We do not use horses here in this certification. They are never a used commodity. They are actually partnered with our people and partner with us, so that we're actually listening to what the horse is saying, so that we can help our clients to be able to move through the programs, to not only help them in their own lives, but to actually transfer that learning from the arena, from the horse, so they can parallel it to their life. So when they're not with their horse, they're actually able to, oh yeah, that's right, I did this with Roxy, so I am able to go to that job interview today, or whatever it is that they're doing in their life.
Yeah, the experiential transfer of learning is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Yes, so, and we will get into more detail about what it is that we do here, as well as we describe the differences between therapy and equine-assisted learning as well. What the heck is the difference between equine-assisted learning and equine therapy? And there is a massive difference. So what's happening here? Oh, doggone it.
She's having a problem in technology, and she's IT all the way.
They changed the buttons is what happened, people. So when they change the buttons, it messes with me. But equine therapy, or equine therapy, however you want to say it, both correct. But with this piece, the biggest piece of it is that therapy portion. So I'm going to actually read you out, because I have a definition here. So equine therapy, also referred to as horse therapy, equine-assisted therapy, and equine-assisted psychotherapy, is a form of experiential therapy that involves interactions between patients and horses. So this, you notice how many times the word therapy has been mentioned in all of this, and that's because it is proper therapy. That means you need a licensed therapist,
professional,
counselor, psychotherapist, whatever it may be, to be doing that therapy portion of it. And now,
because why? It goes to the psyche of the brain ski. So you see, be very careful with those certifications that are saying it's a therapy piece, because it's only therapy if there is a licensed therapist, because otherwise getting to the psyche when we don't have any right to touch the psyche, very, very dangerous.
I like to think of it this way. If somebody said, I want you to do some therapy with me, even with a horse, I would say, oh, well, I'm not actually able to do that. I don't have that kind of background. It would be the same as if somebody said, I'd like you to wire my house for all of the electricity. I would say, I'm not capable of doing so. However, it seems to be that it's something that gets skipped over because it's, I don't know if it's maybe not tangible, or you can't see that piece, or what it is, but just be very, very cautious with that. You should not be wiring somebody's house if you aren't an electrician, and you should not be wiring somebody's brain if you are not a proper therapist.
Absolutely. Now, here's an idea, though, that a lot of us are going to as well, especially in the equine therapy piece, is, you know, the therapy piece comes from the actual literal client who comes into the programs, because the horse is the actual therapeutic piece.
Yes,
so
therapeutic.
Therapeutic piece. And through the research, we even know why a horse actually has those healing powers, because that research, heart math, that is a great one to read upon. Mm-hmm. So for example, even in that heart math piece, because our horses' hearts are like, they're huge, like they're 10 times bigger than our own hearts.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, seriously. But it's so cool because with brains, they have the size of a walnut and we have this ginormous brain. So those are our differences. But with that heart math piece, because the heart is so ginormous, it beats slower. And because it beats slower, as a client enters the space of our beautiful creatures, our horses, what starts happening, even for a client who's got this going on, high anxiety, like it's just so much, what starts happening as they keep getting closer and closer is what will eventually take place is the human being's heart is going to start beating the same as our horse's heart, which is that slower beat. And when we can actually feel our hearts, you know, beating at a slower beat, it actually takes away a lot of that anxiety and those problems. And that's why the horse is the healing piece. So through equine therapy or through equine-assisted learning, the bonus is when you're working with your horse, this is the research component, that's why they are a healing therapeutic piece, which we have in both. But for sure, therapy is always by a professional. And we never want to claim that we're doing a therapy component when we do not have any degrees in doing this. Although Carolyn just signed up.
I did. However, I should give you guys a little bit of background on this. So I started looking into this whole therapy side of things and what does this mean to have a certificate in some sort of therapy. So I found this this course online that allows you to get, and I think it's the GONE psychotherapy methodology, and you can actually get a certificate in this, and it's accredited. Now, I want you to know that this course is like a 6-hour course, and it was $14.99.
$14.99 by Cracky, and you've got a certificate.
Yes, and I will have an accreditation after this. I will still not be doing therapy. I can tell you that right now. I will have maybe a better understanding of it, but so far, everything I've gone through is very common sense based. So it's very important to always remember, look into what the therapy piece is that people are running with as well, because I wouldn't trust my brain to somebody who's taken a 4 or 6 hour $14.99 online course personally. No, but that's just me. So just keep that in mind when you are looking into the therapy side of things or what you're signing up for as well, because that's a lot of responsibility on your plate. And to the people who are the therapists, the psychologists, everything, we love you. Yes, you guys are amazing human beings who can do these things. And even if you are doing an EAL program or equine-assisted learning program like ours, it doesn't mean you can't incorporate the therapy piece. However, if you are not a therapist, don't do therapy.
Then you can't do the therapy piece. But yes, licensed people can go deeper into the brain ski because why? They're trained. They got a degree to do so. So just very, very important. You know, the one reason for even myself, and I even think I could speak on Carolyn's behalf, the equine-assisted learning piece was so beautiful we didn't need to go get a degree. Because you know what? I think for us as human beings, even though we're two different personalities, hearing what some humans have gone through goes right to our heart.
Yeah, take it to bed.
And then we think about it all the time. So in equine-assisted learning, that component doesn't exist in your arena. Yeah. You are trained to facilitate objectively driven programs that help the human actually to do their own therapy piece, coming up with their own answers and solutions to the problems that they have in their lives. But yet we don't need to touch or hear where they've come from to be able to do that.
Yes.
And that's the win.
One other side of this equine therapy thing is like the hippotherapy side. For any of you who haven't heard of that before, that's a different kind of like physical therapy, and people are riding in that program. So that should be mentioned too. Equine therapy can be riding or it can be on the ground.
Yes.
Again, it should be somebody who is licensed properly to be running the programs that they're running, especially hippotherapy. Again, phenomenal.
So amazing.
We got to witness one. And
Yes.
the patience that these people have to even get everybody on the horses and sitting properly so that it stretches out the correct muscles on people and everything. If you guys haven't heard of hippotherapy, look it up. It's really, really amazing what they can do for people. But again, they are licensed to be able to do so. They have the proper education and training of the musculature. Is that a word?
Sure sounds right.
I think so.
I think
so. Of all of those pieces of how our bodies work, they have that background to be able to properly sit somebody on a horse. And it's the motion of the horse that allows it to stretch out the different parts of the body that need to be stretched. It's phenomenal.
It really is.
Proper licensing to be able to do so.
Proper licensing. And I know they use a lot of volunteers because volunteers are lovely. Because why? You need people on all sides of the horse when this human being is on top of the horse, just to make sure no one folly offy, because if they folly offy, never good for the insurance claim.
Totally. We've got a few comments here. Bree said, Bree was on and I were on the phone. We were talking when we found this course and we're like, we're doing it. So that's why we're now going to be accredited. No bigs. So she says, people actually use this online course to claim that they are a therapist. So very good reason to always check all certifications and what they're claiming to be as well. And then we've got Joanne who says, okay, so we that are not therapists cannot use the word therapy anywhere in our business. Correcto. Yep. You can say horses are therapeutic because we understand that piece, and they're very symbiotic creatures that allow us to go through a therapeutic piece. But technically getting a massage can be therapeutic too, or sitting in a quiet room or meditating, right? Those are things that are caused, I guess, within ourselves as a therapeutic feeling, whereas therapy is the outside portion that somebody is bringing into us as well.
Absolutely. And that was really a great question.
Yes.
I really like that.
Absolutely.
Especially what you're representing out there. There was one more thing I was just thinking of with this. You know, here's another thing too, when you're looking at your certifications, because, well, first of all, when I first started, which was over 13 years ago, just so you know, everybody thought I was a wackadoodle. It's because nobody even understood what the heck it was that I was doing in equine assisted learning. Now, at that time, there was hardly anybody doing it. So here we are 13 years later, and it seems to us there are certifications
popping out everywhere,
popping up, and you can be this in 2 days, you can be that in 5 days, you can be this, blah, 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 whatever it is. One thing to always keep in mind is find out, when were they established? Because, you know, what is the credential that's backing that certification? Now, I know a lot of people don't like to investigate too much, but I have to tell you, it was very important to me to understand when they were established, how they became established, and what credentials are. Because if they don't have credentials, and credentials are also, who are they working with now?
That's what I was
Who
just
are their
gonna
clients?
Say. Yeah,
because if they don't have clients, they're just training you to hopefully go out and do it, but they're making money off that certification.
Yeah.
Our certification, and I just want you to understand this as well, even though it's only 5 days that we're together, it's not 5 days. There is no way on this earth of ours you can ever be an expert in any field in 5 days. It's literally impossible. So we never claim that piece to be. So what we do claim is we help you to be the most successful in your business that you possibly can. Why? We train you for life. After you take the 5 days with us, then you get an online training course. Then you are with our global group where it's constant training. Like, there is never a time where you're not being trained. Why? You got to become the expert in your field. You have to be, but you can't do it in 5 days. We've made this so you have the ability to leave your life for 5 days instead of being 6 months. Because who's got 6 months to go away from their family, their home, their business, their work?
And it's just like anything else, this experiential, well, that we teach is the experiential part. You have to be able to go out there and figure it out with your clients and be actually doing things to gain more knowledge as well, right? So that's why even during the course, you have to actually facilitate other human beings to get that feeling, to understand what it's like to go out to the world and then be able to go do it at home and then come back with more questions.
You bet. And Chris Stanley here, he also said he's helped out in therapeutic riding. Therapeutic riding. Now that's another certification. And again, you need those credentials. You need to have more. You can't just be a therapeutic riding instructor.
Yeah.
It's hours and beyond hours and hours and hours and hours to get to that place to say that you are qualified to do that. And yes, then they can have the volunteers come in and help as well. Because why? You still need lots of humans around the horse, even through that therapeutic riding piece, but still need a professional clinician to be a part of that because they understand what it is. Sorry,
they're saying. Even Chris says here too that the field experience is a big plus, years of experience, and they had over 25 years of training. Wow. So it's so true that you need that experience behind you to be able to properly run the course. And that's why you got to look into what's the experience that's behind you, because that is your certification in a lot of ways too.
It really is. And you know, the other thing, like really, this is, if you're going to spend money on a certification, and I do believe you get what you pay for. So if you're looking at, again, 2 different certifications, I can tell you this, it's not apples to apples.
It's not a $14.99 therapy degree. Let me tell you that right now.
You know, really make sure you're researching what it is that you actually get for that money. Because if you're only saving yourself $1,500, what's that $1,500 difference? I bet you it's like night and day. So you do owe it to yourself to really dig into that certification, ask the certification company questions. And you know what? Also ask the people who've been certified how they're doing, because that's a win. It actually shows if this certification is valuable and if people are actually utilizing it, which makes logical sense.
One more thing about equine therapy before we go on to a little bit more into equine-assisted learning. I mean, we've talked a lot about the difference kind of as we go, but I did make the other titles, so we're going to put it up. So the other side of this is that it can be a group experience and it can be one-on-one for the equine therapy side as well, as long as there's the proper management of the therapist and ratio, I guess, to numbers as well. So in equine therapy, you can have group programs, thank you. And you can do the one-on-ones as well. Same with equine assisted learning. It works the same way, but the facilitation process is very, very different because we don't have that therapy aspect within equine assisted learning.
One fellow you guys should check out as well. His name is Jim Marland, and he's with Praxis. Now, he helps veterans, war veterans, them and their families when they come back. Now, here's the cool piece. He's a counselor, a degreed counselor. So him and I know another partner have created this Praxis where they're helping in PTSD, but helping the families come together and deal with everything using equine assisted learning, but being able to bring in the therapy piece, because why? He's degreed. So, you know, it's just so important in understanding how we're using that therapy piece. We just feel so saddened when we see therapy being thrown everywhere when we know it's not therapy, right?
Oh, and it terrifies me, to be honest. Like, if you think, again, I'm going to go back to this electrician metaphor here, because if you had somebody who had no background and wired your house, would you not be scared all the time that it was going to light on fire? Right? And this is somebody dealing with your brain who does not have the proper credentials to do so, or your body, even if you're looking at the hippotherapy side of things as well. To me, that is very, 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 very scary, right? And you wouldn't let somebody who's not a heart surgeon do heart surgery on you, so on and so forth. There's so many different examples of why it's so important to make sure the right people are adjusting you in the right ways, because that's really what it boils down to, is it's adjusting your outlook.
Absolutely. And go to their websites. I'm sorry, I get a feel for a real certification just by the look of their website, just like that. Like, I know in actually 1 second, but they say up to 3 seconds. And look at what it is that they're demonstrating. What do those pictures look like? And what do they feel to you? We've run across 2 horrid, most disgusting pictures we've ever seen in our lives. And the first time I saw the one, I actually cried for the horse. Second one, Carolyn found because
I got mad.
She got really mad because that's using a horse in an inappropriate way, meaning they're not keeping the welfare of the horse in their programs. And I would never put on a picture that shows a horse, obviously, in the horridness of, oh my gosh, save me. Because the number one thing a horse needs to feel is safe. And if you can't keep your horse safe in a program, if you're not looking after them first, there's no way that they're going to be okay with working with clients. But it's that this picture was terrible because it was a horrible 2 negative things that were written on the horse. And it's like, it's just such a sad way to even help people move forward by utilizing a living being. It would be like, Caroline coming and writing stupid on me.
Yeah, if you wouldn't do it to a human, don't do it to a horse.
No.
They are not just a tool to be used. They're not a whiteboard.
Nope.
Okay.
I like that.
I can feel I'm going to go off on my little tangent again. I'm bubbling. But it's if you wouldn't do it to a human being, don't do it to them, because that's not what they are incredibly sensitive creatures. They can feel a fly land on them. You don't need to be like, good horse. They can feel everything within us just by being able to be like a barometer of energy in everything that is around us as well. Do not put negative crap on the horses.
Hell no. Boom. Yeah.
Okay, we should move on.
Okay, we should.
Cursing or something. Okay, so equine-assisted learning. Yes, and I see it, Chris. Education is awesome. You got that right.
Heck yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the equine-assisted learning. Now, this is where you have to be very, very careful as well, because there are so many kinds. There is equine-assisted learning. There's equine-assisted personal development. There's equine-assisted learning.
Coaching. There's equine-assisted loads.
Yeah. So equine-assisted, that term itself just means that it's working with a horse.
Hopefully working with a horse, not using a horse.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's our words. We work with horses.
We
not
work.
use them. Yeah. But equine-assisted learning in our format, so that's, I think what is the best to talk about is we'll just speak on ours, because it's too hard to speak on a lot of these other ones, because there is great, there is not so great. There's such a range out there that it's really only fair that we speak to our own certification when we're talking about equine-assisted learning.
I agree. And we don't have any right to really talk about the others. It's up to you to figure out what is the best piece, what is the best certification for you. So that's why even the 2 pictures that we have found, we're not going to tell you who they were.
No.
Because that would be up to you to, again, look on websites, see what's being out there. Look at the horse. Never look at the people when you are on a website. Yeah. Because the horse will tell you if this is good or if it's not going well.
And I can be totally miserable inside and still have a beautiful smile on my face. That's not going to tell you anything. However, if you look to the horses don't lie. We know that piece. They are reacting to what is actually happening versus the happy, smiley people that have been just told to smile for the camera.
Exactly.
Andrea has a really great one here too. Part of what I want to do with my business is what you were talking about with Jim, EAL with an availability of equine therapy, partnering with someone who has an educational degree. And sorry, a 1499 qualification does not count. You are absolutely right. It does not count, but that's a great way of doing it. Partner the 2 together.
Absolutely. And we do love that, because we too also have some therapists and counselors come in with the groups that we work with, but they don't get to actually do the work here at our arena. They get to observe, they get to take the notes, but then they get to take their clients away and then do all of the psyche stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Back in their place.
And it's a fantastic way of doing it as well, because again, it's just taking that paralleling piece to a different level so that it's being implemented in a different way as well. Brittany has a great question as well. Is EFL the exact same as EAL? All the EALs, I'll tell you right off the bat, they aren't the exact same. No. But EFL is equine facilitated learning. So it could be still working with a horse and facilitating the process, depending on what the outcome would be for that specific certification. I know these aren't the best answers that are like black and white, but this is the true answer. That's all we can give.
But it is, and no matter what, at least after today, you're still going to completely know the difference between equine-assisted therapy and equine-assisted learning.
Yes.
And that's really what the topic is about.
So the actual definition we have here is equine-assisted learning is a learner-established educational experiential program that is facilitated within a group format or one-on-one and focuses on ground activities rather than riding horses. More specifically, equine-assisted learning is a horse course with an effective solution to human development that promotes individual and group growth. So, and that's just the first part of a could be a longer one. But
that's Carson in the background coming in.
Everybody say hi, Carson. And that's a dog. So with that piece it really is about building skills, working with horses as the teachers, as a very shortened version of that explanation.
It is. And you know what? Every human being on this earth, if we could help them to build skills that they're already, they don't even know that all of this power exists in them. If we can help them to build the skills that sets them up for life, oh my gosh, like it's so incredibly purposeful. If you take a look back here, oh, you can't do it. There we go. Ooh, how do you do the finger? There we go. I did.
Oh my gosh, and I didn't even notice.
Okay, anyways. Oh, she does it very, very good. That is our armor of skills. So when we're even presenting our first programs, we always talk about, it's building that armor of skills. So you get a chest plate here, or you get the leg plate, or it all represents a skill that they're building. So that when they're done the programs with us, which is usually 8 to 12 weeks, that our clients come once a week for an hour and a half to what? Keep adding these skills so that they're so strong when they leave us. And our programs are designed in such a way, you have a beginning, a middle, and an end. But the bonus is at the end, you've got the ability to help parallel to their life, so they take the learning out of the arena and put it into their life.
And it's not just whatever they picked out of the arena that day. We always have a focus with each and every obstacle program that they are doing in the arena. So one time it might be about communication, next time could be active listening, next time could be trust, but that is the focus. So we know that they are leaving with a specific skill every time that they are leaving. And that's why they are able to build that armor for themselves to take out into the world. Plus, we can work with our organizations to make sure it's the right skills for them. That's going to help parallel to what they're learning in their organizations as well. So it's very cool.
And the bonus with our certification, I have to tell you, because the lady who designed these programs, her brain is so freaking amazing.
We don't have it.
No, we don't. We didn't create this. We just were trained in it. Not just, like we had to become pros to be able to turn
into experts.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, what she did was she took the research and how do human beings actually learn in life? So that's already been established. She took that. Then she took the research on how do wild horses communicate, already done. Then she married the two to come up with these objectively driven programs that will always what? Give you a result. I find this absolutely amazing in this day and age that you can literally say you can guarantee a result. We don't use the word guarantee because it reminds us of a yucky commercial.
Yeah, like we guarantee. Yeah. With a big star behind it.
Exactly. But we can tell our organizations or individuals there will always be a result. Why? The programs are designed that way. You are trained in facilitating these objectively driven programs. But again, listening. And I do this because you got to see what the horse is saying. Because if the horse isn't having you do a change, you never step in to say, how are you feeling right now? Right with this. Yeah. Like this is not what the program is set up to look like. It's set up that we are trained to hear our horses, who are the actual teachers, hear what they say to have a step in to help them with that skill that we're working on that day. And it's outrageously fantastic that you are prepared every program, that you know exactly how to run it.
And it is through this facilitation, we get a question a lot of times, like what happens if somebody says something that's therapy and you have to respond? The way the facilitation works, it doesn't go there. And if you're properly facilitating, which obviously we train you to do, then you don't have to worry about getting to that therapy portion or how people are sharing, because it's a different way of them to be learning, and they know that it's a skill that they're going after there as well. And the one piece that I love with that so much is that we are where we're at in our lives at any given moment. Yes, many things have happened to all of us in our past in different ways. We've all made different choices as to how to move forward from it or to not. When we're working with the horses, it's about that moment. When we're working with people or first meet them, you don't get to go up and say, hi, my name is Carolyn. I'm emotionally damaged because could you please make some amendments for me? That's not how life works. We have to be able to work within our situation. And that's what this program allows people to do, is move forward in the right way for them without having to maybe delve back into all of it, but to be able to move forward from right where you are and live your life.
And people really do have the answers to the problems in their lives. But what happens is they start living here and they get very confused and they forget to live in their gut where the answers are located. That's why the horses are so brilliant, because the horses are the ones that help bring it out for them. So you work in group, but individually they're learning at a different place at a different time, but they're still learning to do it together. Why? This is what the world is. We always work in teams. It's fake to just do one-on-one for this specific way that we run our programs, because you're always working in a partnership in some way. Like and family, friends.
I was just going to say, somebody out there is saying, well, I'm self-employed. I work at home with nobody else. Yeah, but you still have to talk to clients at some point. You still have a family generally. There's still always going to be people we have to interact with in this world. And that is ourselves as well. We still have to interact with ourselves in a different way to positively move our lives forward. Otherwise, we get stuck. And that's the biggest part that happens to us all the time.
You know what you should do?
Nope.
You should give them an example. This is our oldest facilitator who came in, and he was 72 years old.
So cute.
And here's a perfect example of why we train you to facilitate the objectives in the arena, because things like this can just pop out.
Yes. So he was very, very excited. And he was, yes, like you said, 72 years old. And he just wanted so badly to connect with these kids and to help them and to change their lives. Like he was just pumped to do all of this. So he goes out into the arena and he goes up to this girl who had like rainbow hair or something like that. He's like, oh my gosh, I love your hair. It's so cool. She says, oh, thanks. And then he said, but what do your parents think about that? She says, I don't have parents. That's not a great place to be. Beautifully, she was working with JR, who's our mama horse. So I was able to step in and facilitate and say, oh my goodness, it's just perfect that you're working with JR today, because she was a mama horse. Bring it back to the horse and we can move forward. So she still has that piece. She can move forward herself. But I'm not going to say, oh, how does that make you feel that you don't have parents or anything else? That is not my right. And it was a really good lesson for him as well, to just, you need to make sure that you're facilitating that objective, not necessarily even the emotions of the person, because that's what the horse is there for. And people will change things for the horse that they wouldn't do for people. It's amazing.
You bet. And there's so many times in our arena, especially when we're working with women, for whatever the objective and the skill is that they're working on that day, something changes inside of them, and then they have a flood of emotions, and usually beyond loads of tears. We don't step in, because you see, here is a horse. We already see that the horse is great, giving her that solid strength to be able to just release the way she needs to. The horse ain't going away. The horse isn't trying to move. We're never going to step in that moment and say, oh, are you okay?
Yeah.
Why are you crying? Like, we don't need to know those things.
When somebody's bawling their face off, it's such a dumb question. Are you okay? No, I'm bawling my face off. Clearly, I'm not okay right now. I was thinking, that's so funny. You okay? No.
But a bonus is, in equine-assisted learning, we can allow that process to happen, because that human being needed to release from her inside. Mm-hmm. And whatever that was, we don't need to know it, but she got it. That human being got it because she worked with that horse, that teacher, and then we allow that process. If she cried, like for the whole program in the arena, the 40 minutes, we allow that, because we have the ability in these programs to understand what's necessary to do step in and what's not necessary. And it changes their lives when women especially can do the crying.
And it always seems to still somehow go to the objective. Say the objective was trust for that day. They trusted the horse and the situation that they're in. They felt safe enough to be able to release like that. If it was about communication, it still can go back to that as well. Knowing how to facilitate properly gives you so many options to help people in a different way, where they come up with their own answers and then they make their own changes in life. And sometimes even in an hour. It's phenomenal. It boggles my mind every day.
It is. And I'd have to say, even for the 13 years we've been doing this, it is the most humbling of experiences to be in the presence of a human being with a horse who does a change. Because why? The horse told them. Yeah. And you see this and you're like, oh, like you can never get a large head in this business, because, the horse would never allow it.
They take you down a peg.
But I am telling you, like, these programs and what we have seen with human beings with these changes, it's so humbling, and it really is a true privilege on this earth to know that the purpose that you're doing is really helping other humans to be able to move forward with it. Yes, and is there any other questions from you? And again, sorry, Brittany, because we can't be exact with your question, but besides that, if any of you have any more questions in understanding those differences between the therapy and the learning of equine-assisted, just throw them in before we move away. Anything else from our beautiful community? I love our tribe of Facebook family. I just think, you know, it is like a little mini herd, and I just love the more we can all share with each other. And again, it doesn't matter if you've got a certification somewhere else. If you are just a lover of horses and you don't even have a horse, we love that we work together in this community. And we're always so thankful that you join us and be a part of this little journey of learning.
Dana asked if we will be able to replay this. You bet. After it's all done, then you can replay it again afterwards. And you can share it, because sharing is caring, people. So feel free to share this one out to the globe so they can understand the differences between equine-assisted learning and equine therapy as well, because it really is an important difference that people should really understand. Even before taking these programs, they should understand what the difference is before they get in over their heads with things. Or it's really, you went to a course once that you thought was going to be a learning about horses course, and it was a therapy course. She had no idea. She called us. It was like a kid calling from camp that was super sad. She was like, I don't know what's happening. And we had to sit in a circle, and I wasn't expecting it. It was just awful.
And people were bawling their face off. And I'm like, hey, I love life. This is fabulous. And they did not like me this certification. No. This was in the USA that I went, because, you know, we're always training. We're always training and learning more, and other certifications. We take them. Well, I took one with an actual brain surgeon. Okay, so mine was a little bit more advanced, and mine's $14.99. But, you know, it was such a dangerous feeling. You know, we always say to our clients, the number one thing, again, what a horse needs to feel is safe. And we always say, let's parallel that to a human. Because if we as humans do not feel safe within ourselves, we can't move forward. So here I am spending all this money going to the USA, because I've heard, and this woman has written many books. I was scared for my actual life. And what I mean by that is when someone takes my soul and my gut and my heart and they make it at a very unsafe place, that scares the living crap out of me. I felt like I was this caged bird. So the last day I literally escaped from the certification and took a transit bus to a place where I could actually get a hotel and then take a plane back the next day. And that was the greatest day of my life, when I was on this bus with these other beautiful people and I was free from this crazy wackadoodle certification. That was crazy.
And the thing that is so profound, if you guys have watched this for a long time, or if you know Kari is strong in herself. She knows herself. She knows how to feel good about herself, what she needs out of life. And she's very, very strong in all that. So to have somebody shake her core, that's
scary.
It's so scary. Like, and for somebody that isn't that strong, or is second guessing themselves already, or has self-esteem issues, it would have crushed them and actually changed their thought process about themselves. And that is terrifying to me.
Danger.
Electrician hose on fire. That's what that is right there.
I'm so excited to host. Program rocks, everyone. Totally worth every penny. I love it. Absolutely.
Yes, thank you very much, Heidi. And I love that you're going to share this out too, Andrea, because we are pretty good at explaining it, I think, at this point, 13 years later.
Thank you. Yeah, and we should 13 years later. My goodness. We're not stuttering or anything. We just forget words.
Or make up new ones.
Yep, and that's okay.
So hopefully this did answer many of your questions. But the biggest piece, because I mean, if you go into what is the difference between equine-assisted learning and equine therapy, the biggest piece is that word therapy. So always truly understand, if you are signing yourself up for a certification in therapy, that you should have other education behind you that allows you to mess with somebody's brain, period. That's my little soapbox that I will hop on. Don't mess with somebody's brain if you're not supposed to.
Exactly. I like
but that is the biggest piece, is that therapy portion, is that you do need that background to be able to run a therapy program. And then as far as the equine assisted learning goes, or equine facilitated development, or equine personal development, or all those different things, do your research. Really understand, where did they come from? How are they certifying people? And are they thinking of the horse?
Look at their website and the pictures.
Because if they're not, bad news bears, man, and those poor ponies. It's poor ponies.
No welfare. No welfare of the horse. You always want to be in a certification that's always number one the welfare of the horse first.
Yes. Oh, we got a nice comment here from Rach. Rach too. We have a few different certifications here in Halifax, Nova Scotia with Equine-Assisted associated with it. And Equine Connection is totally at the top and worth everything they offer. Nothing and no one even comes close to their certification, and an amazing blessing. Sing it,
Holy
sister.
jumping tuna fish by Cracky.
That's exactly right. So hopefully you guys learned a lot from this. Again, my name is Carolyn Charles. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing, as well as an instructor and facilitator for the Equine Connection.
And I'm Kari Fulmek, the founder and master instructor of Equine Connection, the Academy of Equine-Assisted Learning, helping humans just like you to be able to live the dream that you want. How? By making a living, working with beautiful, incredible, intelligent horses, but helping the human beings to be able to make a change in their lives and moving forward with those beautiful changes.
Thanks so much for tuning in today with us gals from Equine Connection on today's episode of Changing Lives with a Horse, of course. Next week, we're going to have tons more information, and please join us then for more chatting on how these phenomenal creatures are really the best teachers around. We'll talk to y'all then.